following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Radio is scripted now. We just come up with it. We don't use computers. We don't rehearse. We're going to talk about this next. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the Bulls. And then we're going to have Brad Bixon. And then we're going to have all this. No. If you don't know what you're going to talk about in the top of your head before a show, you shouldn't be in the business. I don't know what you got. I feel like Vince Vaughn in a couple's retreat. The Sharks are circling. Old school, baby.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
That's right. The Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman, and I tell you, I sit here in my studio in Arlington Heights, and I'm thinking to myself, it's hot. It's hot, and this heat is coming from the north, and there's something green about this heat. There's something green and gold about this heat. It's funny, and I know that it must be coming from Huntley. It must be coming from Mike North, the hottest handicapper in the nation. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
I'll tell you what, it's been a magical ride, my friend. Oh, that ended abruptly, the music. All right, guys, take care. Take the horns out the side door and take the fiddle with you. There you go. Beautiful. Boy, that music was rolling, too. I got to tell you something, Aldo. What a week. First, I think last week, we're 15-7 at Bears Barrel, which, is as important to me as anything else I do. It's where I got my start on the podcasting with the handicapping. So we're on fire with that. Then, on the odds couple, I go 3-2. Then I've been on fire at Vegas scores and odds. Won 9, 10 in a row, 10 out of 11. So tonight, I said, we're going to go on the air. I should have a game for everybody. But the game I love tonight, unfortunately, started at 5:30, the Yankee game. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's fortunate it started early because I bought a 1.5 at minus 160. That means I'm winning 1.5-0. I took Seattle. Right now they're down 7-3, but they're tattooing CC Sabathia in the fifth inning, folks. It was 6-0 now, or 5-0. Now it's 7-3. Plus they're threatening again. So we may end up, if we lose by 1 or we win the game, there's still a lot of baseball left. It's in the fifth inning, top of the fifth, first and third with 2 outs, 7-3. So I also told you if you didn't like that pick, go the other way because it's not an official pick. But I felt like we had to have something. Then Vegas scores and odds. They loved the show. You produced it excellently as usual.
Thank you.
Flawlessly. We had a good time. And you know what? Then I did a thing with Robin Baumgarten, which has been getting good reviews at WGN. We read some scripts from 50 Shades of Grey, which I had never seen. Me and Robin, we talked on Twitter on the Pat Tomasulo show. I want to thank Pat. I want to thank Robin. And it was good, and we had fun. Me and BB went down to WGN. I was down at I was on Romper Room when I was 6 years old.
Yeah, me too.
And then, 60 years later, I'm doing something at WGN on Pat Tomasulo's show. So it's been a great week. It's been a hot week. Then on top of everything else, you'd think I'd run out of breath right now, didn't you? But no, you said Mike's going to run out of breath. No, he isn't, because I won the Derby, too.
Yeah, that's right. That's huge.
That was unbelievable. I had just been on the odds couple, and I had told everybody on Friday night, what I like to do is I like to bet every horse that's 15-1 or more. It used to be 100 a horse. So this past week it would have been 1,200. But I only bet 10 a horse. So I bet 120. I won 660 with the 65-1 shot.
Wow.
Nice. So I walked away with a pretty good bundle. I walked away with a pretty good bundle. In the old days, I would have bet 100 on them all, and I would have won. Now, there hadn't been a long shot that won in 4 years, but there's been 15-1, 21-1, and 51-1 since 2009. So I've hit 4 long shots in the last 10 years.
That is amazing. And what a tremendous Kentucky Derby it was, with such a controversial finish, about a 30-minute decision to take a look at the replays over and over again. And then this is what happened, and I want to get you to, I want to ask you how you felt after you heard the following.
They did. So for the first time in the history of the Kentucky Derby, the horse that crossed the line first has been disqualified. After the objection, Country House wins the Kentucky Derby with Flavian Pratt at 65 to 1.
That had to be a great moment for you.
It was one of the great moments of my life. My birth, when I got out of the service alive, and winning this Kentucky Derby. So, no, all kidding aside, I thought the reason it took so long is because they were afraid to make the call.
Yep.
I think they were going to give it to the horse that won. And by the way, for the people that think this horse was going to win, he had about 200 yards to go, and there were two horses crawling right up his rear end.
That's right.
And one of them was ready to really make a move. So this nonsense that he was going to win wire to wire, when 75 to 80% of the horse races that I've ever seen are decided within the last 10, 15, 20 yards is ludicrous. You have a bunch of people that know nothing about the game talking out of their ass. If that horse, by the way, there's people that, had maximum security, so they're letting that blind them by the fact that maximum security and the horrible jockey on him could have killed or wounded or hurt 2-3 jockeys and possibly killed or hurt 3-4 horses.
That is correct.
End of story.
Yep.
It's absolutely ridiculous, the nonsense I've heard today. They're getting experts on. If you know anything about horse racing and you saw the replay, and this is where replay is a godsend, and it isn't. Because if there was no replay, I don't know if this is called, except for one thing. There's always been replay at the horse races.
Yeah.
They always show the replays.
Photo finish, baby.
So photo finishes, the whole ball of wax. It was so obvious. And to hear people that, even on Twitter, that I like and respect, that are hanging on, that the horse did nothing, is absolutely insane. I watched the tape like everybody else. I said the only reason it's taken so long, because it's unprecedented.
Well, and Harp 4803 says that it also took a long time because they had to figure out the order of the finish. So they had to go back into the tape and say, okay, this horse now comes in second, this one comes in third. But to your point about all the experts talking about stuff, there's one expert whose opinion and analysis I really enjoy listening to, and it's Randy Moss, the sports commentator on NBC Sports. This is what he said after the race.
On his left front leg going around the turn, his left lead, centrifugal force, they're leaning to the inside. When they change to the right lead early before they get out of the turn, it causes them to veer to the right. And that appears to be what happened with maximum security. And it very nearly, when you see those replays, caused a pileup.
Just what you said, almost caused a pileup. But what he's saying is, coming out of the turn, if you start to kind of move your horse while you're still in the turn, the centrifugal force is going to try to.
Then why doesn't it happen all the time?
Yeah, because the jockey. I think the jockey.
Screwed it up. You know what? This nonsense. I like Randy. He knows his horse racing. The centrifugal force bullshit. Because I've seen a million races. And I don't see that happen in any other races with the turns, in the mud. It doesn't matter. So this crap, that's the jockey. That's what they get paid for. That's a 120-pound man with tons of horse that he's got to steer, and he did a horrible job of doing it, and he cost the horse maybe the race.
Yeah, and when they interviewed the jockey, and I apologize, I don't have his name in front of me, he sounded guilty. I mean, he came up with some excuse about, the crowd started yelling, and so the horse got scared.
Give me a break. What are we, in a Western? Was there a gunshot? What, are we watching the Cisco Kid? What the hell happened? It's a race where he clearly could have killed people. And there's people sticking up for this horse, and I'm going to myself, you got to be kidding me. A moron could look at that video and see. He didn't veer. Yeah. He went over there.
Yep.
He went right in their lanes, and you're supposed to stay in your lane, and he was right in the... And why wouldn't he stay where he was at?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he lost control of the horse.
Right. CB fan says, Mike North brings the truth on every show. Way to go, Mike. CB fan,
Well, it just drives me nuts. I mean, These owners, I mean, the people in the media, they act like they own the horse. Mm-hmm. You know what? And by the way, you can name all. There's only 3, 4, 5 handicappers in the world that I respect. Eddie Olczyk, Johnny Morse, Howard Sudbury.
Oh yeah.
There's a couple other guys that I respect. About 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. I'm the only one that had this horse. But you know what? They don't like the way I pick my horses because I've always picked every race like that. Look, you could beat the races if you got money. Now, if you have a day where all the favorites win and none of the long shots win, you go home licking your wounds. Mm-hmm. But sooner or later, there's a day when all the long shots win, and you just got to have the money to bet those kind of things. But you could do it with $2. I told Carmen DeFalco there's 12. There was 15 at the time that were over 15 to 1. They ended up with 12. I told Carmen, bet $2 a horse. So if you bet $2 a horse that were the long shots, Aldo, that's $24. You won $134.
That's not bad.
You take off the 24, you won 114. But see, I guarantee you, and this used to piss people off when I went at the OTB, the purists, the guys with the programs, the guys that take pride in their handicapping, they hated my guts because I won more than they did because of the stupid method.
Well, you heard.
Thank you for that stewardship. Thank you for coming to the racetrack. Appreciate it. So what were you saying? I wanted to get it out of the way early.
You did. You caught me.
Thank you. And enjoy next year's Derby. Thank you. So anyway,
you may have heard that the owners for Maximum Security filed a protest, which was quickly dismissed.
Like they were going to return all the money.
Yes.
The people that won with the other
They
horse.
wanted it held. They wanted all the money held in escrow. It's like, dude, they've already paid out all this money. But they filed an appeal on Monday, and so we will see how this plays out. It'll probably end
They
up
didn't win.
He didn't win. That's right.
They didn't win. Surprise! Don't take your feedback and go home. Now they're not going to race in the Preakness. Like I give a rat's Rudy Tooty. We don't need people on the track that don't know how to race responsibly.
That's for sure.
Why don't you teach your jockey and your horse to stay in the lane while you're sitting out the Preakness? Maybe do some practice runs at an empty racetrack where you can't kill somebody.
That is so true. And I don't
Do
know.
I sound like a guy that won over $500? I don't think so.
Yeah.
The nonsense all day, because you know what I knew? See, being retired, I watch a lot of TV. Mm-hmm. I went to the driving range early. I come home, and I said, I can't get away from, if I want to watch sports TV, this is the subject of the day. It's too easy.
Yeah.
Forget about talking the NBA playoffs or anything else.
Right.
This took on a life of its own. Like a lot of stupid things do. This was cut and dry. It wasn't a controversy like people were saying. Mm-hmm. It was a foul. He deserved the disqualification.
Well, and I got to tell you, as I'm watching this thing, I'm thinking to myself, are they really going to overturn this? Because, yeah, it's clear that this guy, this horse and this jockey, they did something bad here. I mean, guy went over 3 lanes. But are they really going to do it at the Kentucky Derby? And they did. Congratulations.
I give them all the credit in the world. I didn't think they would do it. They did it. It was the right call. Mm-hmm. And that's how this came. By the way, nobody's talking about a horse that was 65 to 1 that beat the crap out of the rest of the horses.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
I mean, this horse came from nowhere. He was a late addition. I mean, you lost Omaha Beach at the beginning. It was scratch. This is a memorable Derby. And this horse, you know what? I don't know if he's going to race in the Preakness. I hope he does. You got a shot at a Triple Crown. This is where the racing experts know nothing, Aldo.
Yeah.
Nothing. He was 65 to 1. They know nothing.
Yep, that is so true. All right, let's turn our attention over to the first place Chicago Cubs, who, as we speak, have just started their game against the Miami Marlins at frigid, maybe it's not too cold out at Wrigley Field, but it's too cold for me anyway. But what a weekend for the Cubs, and they swept the St. Louis Cardinals and have now moved into first place, and now all of a sudden in all these MLB power rankings, there's the Cubs back in the top 5 again. So what's your assessment of this team, and do you think they can continue to play at this high level?
Well, that's what I mean. I was worried at the beginning of the year because their bullpen was in tatters. They played 10 games on the road to start out the season from spring training. They never got their feet on the ground. They started getting themselves together. Their relief pitching's been better. Their starting pitching, Quintana's been outstanding. I don't hear anybody saying that trade for Eloy Jimenez is a bad one now, as Quintana is just pitching lights out every single game. Hugh Darvish was horrible, gutless, spineless in his last start. Basically gave up, I thought, on the mound. After they started tattooing him, he had a good start against Arizona before that.
Right.
So he's up and down. He's still a problem. But we got Hamels, we got Lester, we got Hendricks, and we got Quintana. Plus, we got a hell of a lineup that's now, I think, poised to win it all. Even though they won it earlier than I thought, the 4, I think they're on a mission. They straighten things out. Joe Madden's doing a great job. I give them all the credit in the world. There's only one problem I have. They called up Carl Edwards today. So I'm a little worried because when the last time I saw him, that bullpen couldn't get anybody out. He was one of the major reasons. But hopefully he straightened out his control problems. But this team, I think, is a team on a mission. They sent St. Louis a message, but you got Milwaukee and St. Louis and the Cubs all within a game and a half of each other.
Not bad, huh? And the Cubs have a plus 51 point differential, run differential, which leads the major leagues. That's a good sign that your team is playing really well.
Let me ask you something, though, about that. If they won every game 2-1, and they didn't have a big differential, would it bother you?
Well, if they won every game 2-1 by the end of the year, the point differential would be 162.
But it wouldn't be where it's at now, I don't think. I know what I don't think that means anything if they win a game 15-2, and the other games are 5-3, 5-4. I think it evens out. I like the fact, though, wait. It's better than the alternative. Let me give you that.
That's for sure.
Okay? I don't want to be at the bottom of that, the minus 62 or minus 50,
Or the White Sox.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, you look at this lineup and you look at the pitching outside of you, Darvish, it does appear that this is sustainable. I mean, they may not go on streaks like what we're seeing now many more times this season, but clearly, this team has the firepower. They've got quality pitching. I suspect that this team, at the end of the season, is going to be there playing for a pennant, and it's hard not to bet on them, right?
Oh, I love them. I loved them from the beginning. Look, Darvish, just finish 500. Don't screw this team like you did last year.
Right.
We don't need to be sidetracked. Just go order a spine, wait for it to come UPS. I don't know what you got to do, but his last start was pitiful. I saw some give up in him. It pissed me off. But I think we got other guys on this team. Rizzo's playing better. Bryant's starting to hit the ball. Baez has done a great job. And, Zobrist plays left. He plays right. He plays second. They're just, I think, right now on all cylinders. And Joe Madden, if you think you could get somebody better than him, it's a quiet clubhouse. It's a responsible clubhouse.
True.
They seem to have calmed down. I don't hear a peep out of anybody. They keep things in the house. That's managing.
Yeah.
That's managing, in my opinion.
You're a Madden fan, correct?
Yeah, I wasn't always. I mean, I was like everybody else after the World Series. I mean, we were stunned, but then he did lead us to the World Series.
Right.
He's taken Tampa Bay to the World Series. So I wasn't it was sort of like Lovey. I wasn't a big Lovey fan, but then he started growing on me. Well, about the third year with this Madden, I'm going, look, this year's his most solid year managing that I've seen. If you want to get rid of him at the end of the year, you go ahead and get one of these metrics guys, CEO or whatever. But to get rid of Joe Madden, especially if they go to the World Series or win it or just get to the playoffs, would be insane.
Yeah. Steven Zimmerman in the chat room went to his computer and learned that back in 2016, at this point of the season, the Cubs were plus 103 in run differential. And he asked the question, if the bullpen was better this season, would we be seeing the same type of numbers? I have to say probably, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but you know what? that was a crazy. Everything was working that year. So and you know what? I really don't put a lot of credence in it. I remember watching the '59 White Sox. They'd win games 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. They'd lose 3-2, 4-3. As long as the team's in every game.
Oh yeah.
You know, as long as the team's in every game, then to me they got a shot to win. They haven't been beat up too badly in games. They seem to have gotten their feet on the ground this year. That last year, I thought what they went through in the playoffs, and when I heard Theo Epstein say, we got to get tougher after the season was over. See, what Theo Epstein does was when he talks to the fans, saying we have to get tougher. We have to be more responsible on the base pass. We have to do this. He's not really talking to the fans, folks. He's talking to his players. That's who he's talking to, because they listen to everything that's said about them. Don't ever think they don't. They go home, watch the TV, or they turn on sports radio, believe me, and they listen. And when Theo Epstein said during the off season, we got to get tougher. We got to have more purpose. That's the one message I think that got through. Plus, Madden's having a heck of a year managing the team. He really is.
Yeah. So now the Cubs start this 3-game series versus the Marlins. I believe, and I'm looking it over right now. Yes, they swept the series against the Marlins, and a lot of people could say that was the start of when they started to turn things around. They beat the Marlins in their first game 7-2, then a 4-0 shutout, and then a 6-0 shutout. Then all of a sudden they were on their way. They beat the Dodgers. What was it? 2 out of 3. And so now against this Marlins team, I'd be shocked if they didn't sweep the series again. They're home. Why not?
You bring up a great point, my friend, and I'll tell you why. Because the thing I like about the team this year, and they did the same thing in essence a couple years ago, 3 years ago. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat. In other words, they're not walking into they're not getting beat up by the Miami Marlins.
Right.
You know, they're beating the Sallies, as we used to call them. But they're also being competitive against everybody else. So, yeah, I expect them. Look, it's baseball. A team can steal one. They're at Miami. Maybe Miami gets one. But the Cubs seem to be all business. I couldn't be happier with the way they are playing right now, and I think that they're going to continue on.
Well, let's talk about the
God, I'm upbeat, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
Just put some money in my pocket. I'm Mr. Sunshine.
The world.
Boy, you give me a miracle win in the Kentucky Derby, I'm walking on a rainbow.
I hear you.
My God.
Well, let's see if I can bring you down a little bit, because we're going to talk about the White Sox. Although, as we're speaking, it's the bottom of the 7th, and the White Sox hold an 8-1 lead against the Cleveland Indians. Hopefully, they can reverse the streak that they're on. They lost 3 straight to the Red Sox after beating them in the opener 6-4. But then just things fell apart for the White Sox. I mean, they took a beating, 6-1, 15-2, 9-2. If you add that is a beating. What do you think about your White Sox?
Well, you know what? Oh, they're my White Sox. I love this so much. 3 weeks ago, you sounded like the owner, for God's sake. Anyway, I got to tell you, they're young. They don't have any pitching. They'll come up with an occasional good game every so often. But when they play the elite teams, they get beat. But this is going to sound weird.
Okay.
They're one of the better bad teams in baseball. In other words, they'll beat Baltimore. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They'll beat, some of these other underling teams. But, so in other words, when they play teams that are equally bad, they get the better of them. But when they play strong hitting teams like Boston, with their pitching staff, they're going to get lit up.
Wow. And this team is really snake bit when it comes to injuries. So you got Carlos Rondon on the 10-day injured list. Michael Kopech, 60 days, probably out for the season. Nate Jones, Kelvin Herrera, Reinberg, and then John Jay has been injured all season. I mean, these guys can't brush their teeth without, breaking something. Right. That's really bad luck for the.
Well, they're young, and that's what makes me concerned. I mean, they're getting hurt in their young when they're in their 20s, early 20s. That's what's concerning.
Yeah.
Every injury takes a toll on a player. Age is a player. Oh, you could be 24 years of old, but your legs could be 34. I mean, that's just the grind of baseball. And if you get hurt in baseball, you're never really. I mean, if they come back, look at Kopech. We don't know what's going to happen to him. We don't. There's 3 or 4 pitchers getting that with this Tommy John surgery.
Right, Rodon might have
you know what? Jimenez got hurt again. He's an injury waiting to happen. So the only guy that seems sturdy right now to me is Moncada. He's got a sturdy body to him. He doesn't, he's under the 300 mark right now. Maybe tonight he's having a better run. Timmy Anderson's been a godsend. Congratulations on the season he's having. He is featured on the MLB channel tonight. So the White Sox need a marquee type guy. They seem to be embracing the bat flip, but if he keeps doing it, he's going to end up getting himself hurt. I'm just telling everybody that right now. Just hit the ball, run around the bases. Walter Payton didn't have to do somersaults and everything else. You know what I mean? He'd go in the end zone, hand her up the ball.
Yep.
That's what I prefer, only because I don't want somebody to head on him. I don't want somebody to head. And some pitcher, look, if you ever, for people, let me tell you something. For people that think it's okay to bat flip, guarantee you, I know guys in the media that, at some of these award shows, like when I won my on-air host award, if I would have gotten in front of them after I won and danced in front of them, they would have come after me and I wouldn't have blamed them. But yet they're the same ones that say it's okay to bat flip. It's sort of like the Kentucky Derby, Aldo. It's like the Kentucky Derby. Let me ask you a question. That horse cut in front of the other horses, right?
Yes.
Try cutting in front of one of these media members at the buffet line. There'll be a all right? Or try cutting in front of them in traffic. All right? They're MFing you. And they're telling the horse and the jockey it's okay, you almost killed some people.
That is
Give me a break.
Kevin in the chat room, who is with us for every show and is a huge fan of yours and a huge fan of the White Sox, says, "We're the best bad team." Thanks, Mike.
We are. I'm telling you. Well, first of all, I'm very honored to always have the
Kevin.
Aldo, and I got great guys. I mean, Aldo with me, and then you got Carmen, and I've been very blessed. And Jig, a lot of all good guys. Andy Furman, tremendous stuff. But this show's a fun show because we tell it like it is, man. We tell it like it is, and that's how we've been for the past, it seems like 50 shows almost.
Well, this one is number 51, Mike.
Wow. We'd be starting the third year bonanza. They used to do 29 episodes a year.
That's right.
No, we'd still be in the second year.
That is so true.
Now they make 6 episodes on HBO, and they act like they work in a coal mine. Right?
That is so true. You young bloods up there. I know Zimmerman is like a 22, 23. He's in the chat room.
Rifleman did 29 episodes a year.
That's right. That's how many episodes, TV shows they would do a year for TV shows on the major networks.
The whole year.
And that's right. Then now,
Larry David does 2 episodes and takes 5 years off. My God. He goes, "Hey, it's great to be back. I'll see you guys in 3 years." The Sopranos used to do the same thing. I forgot what happened. It would take so long for them to come back.
I know.
Hey, how about this Game of Thrones? Did you hear about these idiots?
It's about the coffee cup.
What a bunch of morons. All I hear is what a achieving TV show it is. Might be the greatest show of all time. You got a damn cup of Starbucks, and as a guy's going to get it through a heart with a saber. What a bunch of morons.
Oh, that was hilarious. I'll tell you what.
I never seen whoever's in charge of continuity's fired. I just got news for you.
Last week, Mike, that show, they shot this tremendous battle sequence, which was literally...
It was all in the dark.
Exactly. It was 60 minutes of fighting in the dark. So what must have happened is that their TV monitors, when they're mixing the show, must be really, really low because they probably missed a cup of coffee because it was too dark.
Can I just say this to everybody from the Game of Thrones? I tried watching it. It's horse crap. Let's move on. And by the way, move the coffee next time. What a joke. What a joke.
These people watch those scenes over and over and over again. How could they miss that? That's unbelievable.
How do you miss that? How do you? That alone disqualifies them. I've said it once, I'll say it again. The Sopranos was the standard bearer. That's it.
That's so true.
My gosh. And they, believe me, at least with the Sopranos, the Starbucks would have fit in.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
It definitely would have.
That is amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and a lot of people are starting to say this season might not be as good as we thought it was going to be. Everybody, sometimes when you like something a lot, you kind of make excuses for a bad episode or two. But even really diehard fans are starting to realize this season is not that good.
Yeah, it's all hype.
It really is.
I saw it, all I had to see today on social media. I thought they were kidding. I thought somebody just put a mine there or something. I thought they just placed it there as a joke.
So too.
And then my brother calls me, goes, "You see what happened with Starbucks? What? That's real?" Then I couldn't believe it.
I tweeted
It is
out,
real, right?
Yeah, it's definitely real. I tweeted
Yeah.
out that
What a solid show. What a great show.
I tweeted out that the president of Starbucks, his presidential bid is not going well, so he's probably trying to become the king of Westeros, the kingdom in
Isn't that funny?
Game of Thrones.
Unbelievable. They could film in my backyard. I'd shut the drape.
All right.
about it.
Before we get off baseball to talk some NBA basketball, I want to acknowledge that today is a very special day in Cubs history. It's the day that a pitcher by the name of Kerry Wood did the following.
20-year-old Kerry Wood gets Derek Bell for his 20th strikeout, a National League record. He has his first Major League complete game and shutout, and it's a one-hitter over the Houston Astros. They're mobbing Kerry Wood at the mound. The young Texan has blanked the Astros 2-0.
Mike, do you remember that day in baseball history?
Oh, absolutely. He pitched a great game. Mm-hmm. He pitched a great game, but he's been living off it since then. I mean, he won 85 ball games in his whole career. Think about that.
That is sad.
That wasn't the plan. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to trade. I remember getting in a discussion with George Hoffman at the Score. Mm-hmm. And I said, George, I trade Kerry Wood right now for Roy Oswald. And he thought I was out of my mind. And as it turned out, I wasn't. But he's lived off that game. He seems like a nice guy. Hey, he did something that was phenomenal.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
It was 21 years ago.
Basically, he was a shooting star that fizzled out. If you want to be honest about it, him and Pryor, that whole thing turned out to be a disaster. The injuries, everything else happened. The weight gain, the weight loss. I mean, I remember he came in at one time real heavy. The next time he had injuries. That towel drill that Rothschild hit him and Pryor do, you never see anymore. It was stupid. I think it hurt their arms even worse. Yeah. I wish it would have turned out better for them. They did get to the playoffs, but without that game, Kerry Wood is just he's another 85-win pitcher. So that's what made him special.
Yeah, he's Rich Nye or somebody like that in Cubs
right.
history.
Well, to me, that's all. You won 85 games. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Lamar Hoyt was a better pitcher than he was. I mean, I can name all sorts of guys in Chicago Cubs. Kenny Holtzman. I mean, Rick Sutcliffe. I mean, Kerry Wood's just an average pitcher, as it turned out, because injuries do make that. It happens to you. I'm watching Felix Hernandez tonight. They're losing 7-3 in the bottom of the sixth. They had the bags loaded, Mariners. If they had a grand slam, that's 7-6, and their run and a half comes in good, but they got out of the inning. But Felix Hernandez gave up 6 runs in 3 innings. He got knocked out. He's got an ERA that's like in the 5s now. He's finished. They say he's got to learn how to pitch again. He's 33 years old. I don't know if that's always going to happen. He used to throw the ball 98 miles an hour. Now you throw it 92. That's a big difference.
Yep, it really is. Hart4803 in the chat room says it was the most dominating pitching performance that he ever saw, those 20 strikeouts. And I have to agree with that. But I got to tell you, this was a situation. I mean, his stuff was great that game. I don't want to diminish that at all.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, that's how he got hurt, too. He snapped that curveball off. It was unbelievable.
Yep. But, in watching some of the highlights of that game, it was one of those things where I think the hitters from Houston started to get intimidated by his pitching, and it's like the strikeouts are piling up, and they almost probably went up with that attitude of, this guy's going to strike me out, which is something that you've talked about a lot on the Mike North Advantage, about having a positive mental attitude, whether you're playing the game or betting on the game or whatever.
Yeah, no doubt. That game, look, I'm never going to take nothing away from him doing something like that. That's phenomenal. That's 20 striking out that kind of 20 guys. I mean, and the stuff he had that day. I think what made that pitching performance so great, and it wasn't a no-hitter or something. It wasn't a perfect game.
No. One hitter.
Was the way the ball looked like it was going to hit the batters in the right-handed box, and then it would curve to the outside of the plate. His stuff was as good. He was in what they call zone. Jordan used to talk about that. You close your eyes, you put the ball up, it goes in the hole. That's the way he was that day. Just a phenomenal performance. But like I said, an underachieving career, period. I mean, I'm sure he's got a lot of play in this town. Cub fans latch on, although thank God this team won the World Series because we can't fall in love with the losers, the lovable losers,
That's right.
as they used to, like Rhino and all the guys that didn't get it done. So Kerry Wood's sort of been pushed back to the background, except for something like today, because of the World Series in 2016.
Bubba Starts in the chat room recalls that Kerry Wood hit a homer into a guy's beer cup in right center. When he was sitting there, and he'll never forget the bleacher bum screaming, "Chug, chug, chug, chug." That must have been a great time.
Yeah, I mean, the bleachers were the best.
Oh, my God.
I remember I went out there once as a vendor. Mm-hmm. I never got my Cokes back. Hey, we'll pass them down. I'm waiting for the money. It was 1969. The bleacher bums with those yellow construction helmets, I'm 16 years old. It wasn't going to happen. I never went back there again, ever.
That's hilarious.
They told me to go screw yourself, kid.
We got to put that story in the autobiography. That's a good one.
Oh yeah, I got some good ones.
All right, I want to, again, before we get off baseball, one other baseball note, and today is the birthday of one of baseball's greatest players, and in fact, in my top 10 list, I think I have him number 1. And we ought to do this for Major League Baseball next week, Mike. Get your top 10 all-time baseball players. Well, today is the 88th birthday of Willie Mays, and nothing epitomizes Willie Mays more than this historic moment when he made this tremendous catch, and it was called by none other than Jack Brickhouse.
There's a long drive way back in center field, way back. It is Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
It was. It was the first time I bet you anyone watching Major League Baseball saw a outfielder make an over-the-shoulder catch. I mean, they become fairly common nowadays, but Willie did it. And then what a lot of people don't talk about was the throw that he made immediately after the catch. What's your memory of that moment?
Well, you know what? First of all, let me just say this about Willie Mays. I saw him play many times at Wrigley Field as a kid. And he was about 5'11", compact, good guy. We'd wait for the players to come. The clubhouse used to be on the second floor at Wrigley for the visitors. You'd see him walk over the thoroughfare. Mm-hmm. There was a mesh fencing on each side, and you'd wait for him to walk over. I saw Clemente, Stargell, Jim Bunning, Willie Mays. I saw them all. And Willie Mays, it was a thrill to see him play in person. It was, I put him up there with Rose as guys that, you saw with Clemente, Musial. Mm-hmm. I mean, to see those guys play.
Oh, yeah. And
I hear him talked about now by younger people. And I saw him play numerous times. Willie Mays is a top 5 player of all time. Yep. That's indisputable. Where you want to rank him is up to you. I happen to think I got him 2 or 3. I also have a problem with the record books because there was no integration in baseball until after Jackie got it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I've always said that there should be almost two different sets of record books, but they're not going to do that. So, I mean, there's a lot of great players in the 1900s, 1920s, 1930s, DiMaggio, Williams, Babe, Mays is right with them. He played at Candlestick Park for a lot of years. That had wind blowing in most of the time, wind swirling, and the guy had 660 home runs.
Yeah.
Look at the ballparks he played in. He played in the Polo Grounds. He played at Candlestick Park. He didn't play at the bandboxes they play at today. He played at huge stadiums at home and overcame and hit 660 home runs without roids.
Right. And Candlestick Park, where that wind almost
Was
every
crazy.
game would blow in and around and so forth. He probably got
I
robbed.
get cold watching on TV. I get cold watching. The papers would be swirling. I'd be freezing.
Yes, so true.
I'd be going, man, how are they playing in there? And then Willie Mays would hit a home run. And a seagull would fly by.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
We got a knucklehead in the chat room. Steven Zimmerman wants to know if you ever saw Honus Wagner play.
I drank with Honus Wagner, Steve. No, believe me. You know what? Honus Wagner's one of those guys. His card's worth more money than everything else. To me, if you're gonna talk about ball players, you start at Ty Cobb, then you got Babe Ruth, then you got Willie Mays, you got Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Roberto Clemente, Hank Aaron.
Yep.
Just a splendid ball player. I've seen them all except Honus and the Babe.
That's right. I've never saw
Matt
either.
Wilson, 158 RBIs. You imagine that? Size 6'2".
That's hilarious.
Zim-zimmily, zim-zimmity, zim-zim-zim-zim.
He's a genius, that young man. Zimmerman.
Yes,
All right.
he's Zimmy.
Let's talk NBA. I want to get your take on what is happening with the Golden State Warriors. My goodness, that, what was it, quadruple overtime game the other night. And all of a sudden, the Splash Brothers are just missing shots. They're 27% from their three-pointers. I'm talking about Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. What is going on with your Rockets?
Aldo, let me calm you down. Don't worry about it. I don't think Golden State's going to worry about it. They've had these games before. They do a great job. When you shoot the shots they do, you know what? You're going to have those nights. Houston, to me, doesn't have enough. That's just the way it is. And they got to go back to Golden State. They got a game left to Houston. It's been a good series. I just think it's Golden State. They know how to win. They've been there before. They got too much firepower. You got if Curry gets stopped, Durant. You got Draymond Green. You got Iguodala. I mean, you got some great players. I think they got to get more out of Sean Livingston. He's starting to show his age a little bit, but they got some depth that they haven't even gotten into yet. Bogut never plays. It's amazing to me. So they're still in the driver's seat. I think they're gonna be fine. Don't you?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, they're clearly the better of the two teams, but the better team never wins, and that doesn't always win. I think tonight's game is going to be really telling. Not that it's a must-win game for the Golden State Warriors, but I think that they have to play better overall basketball than the game they last played when they lost 126 to 121.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They've had stinkers. I had the under in that one game at Denver that went quadruple overtime. I should have won that under easily.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good bet. I mean, it turned out to be a good bet, then it turned out to be a bad bet. But I'll tell you what, I like the way that Golden State plays. I think they could be down by 8 and they can make that up in a minute and a half. They are still the champs until somebody knocks them off. I just don't think Houston has it. I'll tell you who's impressed me is Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee's impressed me. The Eastern Conference playoffs have been pretty good. I just happen to think that the cream of the crop is Golden State. It's hard for me to say somebody else.
Well, as we
Isn't
speak,
it?
I totally agree with your assessment there. And as we speak, the Bucks hold a 4-point lead late in the third quarter. That game is on the road at Boston, so if the Bucks win there, that's gonna be really tough.
Yeah,
for the
everybody's
Celtics.
taking them lightly. The Greek Freak is unbelievable.
He really is
I
something.
keep hearing how Durant by far is the best player in basketball. Wait a minute.
Yes.
This kid here is going to be the MVP. He's like 23, 24 years old, and he's going to Boston Garden. Now, I don't know if he's going to win tonight, but you're going to Boston Garden with average teammates, really. Let's face it.
Right.
Name me the other guys on this team, folks. If he wasn't on that team, they wouldn't win 60 games. That's why when I hear Durant's the best player in basketball, I'd like to see Durant on the Bucks and see if they could win 60 games instead of the Greek Freak. I say no. Because I already seen him at Oklahoma City. So I don't think I really believe he's a front runner. The Greek Freak wants to stay there. The Greek Freak thinks they can win it all. Yep. Hey, what happens if it ends up Denver versus Milwaukee? We don't know. I mean, Denver's look good, too.
Yeah,
the Joker's playing great. The NBA playoffs have gotten better.
Yes, well, and that has been so far. I think the best series is that Nuggets Trailblazers series. It's tied right now at 2-2, and there's just been really fabulous basketball going on between those two teams. You just got to stay up.
I got a great
late.
note for you, though. I saved it for you.
Okay.
Okay? You want to hear it?
Absolutely.
Jim Boylan got an extension. It's a joke. Hey now, Hank Kingsley got a. Hey now, Hank Kingsley got an extension for the Bulls. Hey now, Hank Kingsley's the new head coach of the Bulls.
A 3-year extension for Hank King. I
Oh
mean, Jim
my
Boylan.
God, for what?
Apparently, they like the way he teaches young players and his attention to the defense.
Look, if it wasn't so, it's so funny. It's sad, that statement. It's so funny. It's sad. They actually want you to buy into their bull crap. Get it? Bull crap. Hey now. They're not going anywhere, man.
This is what Paxson said at the press conference.
The Greek Freaks got 10 more years to go.
Yeah, I know. That's really sad. We need that number 1 overall draft pick to be able to compete against the Greek Freak. That's for sure. Paxson,
Oh my God! Well, the Knicks are planning on getting them. Are you? And they're planning on getting Durant. Yeah, okay. If you're Kevin Durant and you lose and you leave and you got to try to win it in New York, good luck to you, son.
Okay, I'm gonna feed you a bunch of setup lines for your
Wow.
comedy. This is Paxson at the
I'm going
press
to leave the
conference.
Warriors to go play for the Knicks, but I'm bright.
Paxson said Jim has a strong vision on where he wants to take this team. I paused for
Yeah,
you.
to hell and back.
And he has done a great job establishing the culture that we want this organization to stand for.
Which is, you do what we tell you. That's their culture.
One more.
Otherwise, I'll come down like I did to Del Negro and strangle you in front of the team.
One more. This organization is confident in the direction that he's taking our players, and we are committed to him.
I was confident of the direction I was going in one night after about 3 bottles of champagne. I almost ended up on O'Hare's runway. I don't know how I got there. Ended up in the freight area. I go, how did I end up here?
Wake up, Mr. North.
I don't know how the hell it happened. I just got there.
Oh.
That escalated quickly. Of course, that was like 20 years ago. Those were my hellion days, my friend.
Oh my gosh, fun days, but we just can't keep
I
those.
think you could say you're too close to the Jets when you can see the people's faces in the window.
Yes, I would say. and when there's jet fuel dripping on your chin, that's a problem too.
Oh my God! There's nothing more nauseous than jet fuel. Nothing.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the other series. We got the Raptors are tied with the 76ers 2-2. Their
Right.
next game is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on good old TNT. What are your thoughts on this series?
Can I tell you, I got to fess up. Mm-hmm. I do. I got to admit it. I didn't think Kawhi Leonard was that good. I didn't. Mm-hmm. I thought once he left San Antonio, he'd be a good player, but I never thought he'd be like this. He is a spot-on man. What a shooter. You know what I love about him? Mm-hmm. He shoots from 17. He shoots mid-range jumpers with people's hands in his face. Plays great D. Plus, nobody knows the guy. I guarantee you, he can walk downtown Toronto. Nobody knows who the guy is.
Exactly.
To me, what a pickup that was.
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard's a lot better than I thought he was. And I think Toronto has an excellent shot at taking this. And Kyle Lowry's got to show up, though. Every time they lose, he plays bad. He played good yesterday. He can't have a good game, bad game, good game, bad game. He's got to come out. He's got to help his guy, Kawhi Leonard, get it done. They're playing good basketball, but it's a good series. Can't take nothing away from either team.
Yep. Leonard had 45 in game 1 and
wow.
39 points in game 4 with 14 rebounds. He is really special. The 76ers center Joel Embiid. What's your feeling on
what did I tell you about what Mark Jackson? Mark Jackson said that this guy, barring injury, could go down in history as one of the best big men ever. Take the drugs from this guy. Are you out of your mind? This guy only played 64 games this year. He's an injury waiting to happen every time. Then he had a sinus problem, and he lets everybody know he has it before the game. So it excuses, supposedly, from the media, the dog crap performance he put on yesterday, making Mark Jackson look like he doesn't know what he's talking about. To me, Embiid's an on-again, off-again guy. I think someday he's going to get heavier. He doesn't seem like he's in optimal shape. To me, he has good games, bad games. What's your impression?
I pretty much agree with you. I'm not really sold on him, and there's been a lot of talk.
Would you rather have the Greek Freak or him?
Oh, definitely the Greek Freak. Definitely.
In a heartbeat.
Oh my God.
In a heartbeat.
Yes.
And then I got this guy Mark Jackson saying someday this guy Embiid's going to be one of the best big men ever. He's insane. The Greek Freak's better than him now.
Yep. There's no doubt about it. Another reason I would love to have the Greek Freak here in Chicago is maybe then I might learn how to pronounce his last name, because I just...
Let me tell you something. If that guy ever came to Chicago, they'd screw it up. He'd want to leave after 3 years.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. That is so true.
They bring Thibodeau back. He'd be too tough. I don't know what the hell they do. They don't know what they're doing. When I hear Boylan is an excellent coach, I know who the coach... I coached for 6 years. Okay? He brought nothing new last year once he got in. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
They gave him the money because he's a good soldier. And cheap. And both fans are catching on. Both fans are catching on.
Yeah.
It's a horrible hire.
Yeah. And you know what? It's going to be interesting if the Bulls don't turn things around next year, which is highly unlikely unless they get Zion Williamson. I think finally we'll start seeing enough no-shows at the United Center that management will say, well, maybe we do need to make a change here, because once people stop showing up to the games, that's when all of a sudden loyalty goes out the window.
Well, you know what the problem is? They lost a quarter of their TV audience this year.
Oh, my gosh.
So
I didn't realize it was that much. Yeah.
Yeah, they lost a quarter of their TV audience this year. That's a fact, Jack. That's 25%, folks. Aldo was in TV for a long time. Mm-hmm. Any show that loses 25% usually is on the downward cycle and ready for cancellation. Now, that's never going to happen, but there's a lack of interest in this team because there's a lack of resolve by the ownership. Worst owner in the business, Jerry Reinsdorf. At one time, he was the best. Right now, he's the bottom of the barrel. He's the vomit bucket of owners.
The vomit bucket. Whoa. What a
they should sell Bulls vomit buckets. After the first half, you feel like throwing up. Got the little Bulls logo on it and everything else.
We've got these old buckets where we used to put our champagne bottles. Now,
and then after you're done with them, give them to the bucket boys so they can go beat them up at the halftime. They can hit them at halftime.
That's a clever idea. I like that.
You know what? I might want to be a bucket boy. I got to try to be a bucket boy. That would have been a cool job. Those guys have a good time.
That would be a great feature for us to do. Get a video camera out there and have you be the bucket boy.
What they are is they're pickle barrels. They're pickle buckets.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I used to get our pickles for the hot dog stand, Sienna. They come in those white buckets, and then you see the kids. They're beat. Now I heard the bucket boys every so often like to beat on the things about 11 at night. That's where I draw the line.
All right.
The wife would wake me. She goes, "What's going on?" I go, "I think we're being attacked. I don't know what the hell's going on."
I want to play a clip from you from the HBO show called The Shop. It's the LeBron James show. And this is LeBron talking about how he found out that Magic Johnson had retired or had quit as the lead of the Lakers.
Between my stretching session, my right hand comes to me and say, Magic just stepped down. And I'm like, man, get the out of my face, you bull. I go check my phone, I look at it, it happened. Personally, for me, I came here to be a part of the Lakers organization, having a conversation with Magic. So it was just weird for him to just be like, I'm out of here. And not even have no like, hey, Bron, kiss my ass, I'm gone. It wasn't even that.
Pretty incredible that Magic Johnson didn't have the courtesy of telling his star player that he was quitting, huh?
How unaware is LeBron? He didn't tell Chris Bosh he was leaving until after the fact. He told him at the Cheesecake Factory. They were at the Cheesecake Factory. Oh, by the way, remember we were going to win 4, 5, 6, 7 together? I'm going back to Cleveland. I'm going to leave you and D Wade here. Get D Wade another cheesecake. So, how about this? How about the conversation? He didn't even have he didn't have the courtesy to tell the owner of the Cavaliers that he was going to leave.
That is so
he
true,
went
Mike.
did that stupid TV show. So he's a hypocrite. He's unaware, and he did the same God blessed thing that Magic did. But he's on that stupid show acting a fool. I mean, seriously, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he do the same thing?
You are absolutely right, and shame on me for not thinking about that, but you're absolutely right. He is a hypocrite. There's no doubt about it.
He did the same thing. He got together at the Cheesecake Factory. He had already cut the deal with Cleveland. I'm leaving you guys. They think they're set for the next 5 years.
Exactly.
And then, then Tom, that guy Gilbert, the owner of the Cavs, he found out when you and I found out. Watching him act the fool on that stupid conversation. What was it, the conversation?
Yeah.
What was it, when he announced where he's going to Miami?
I thought it was called
the
Decision.
He didn't tell the Cleveland Cavalier owner.
No.
So this nonsense that Magic owed him a phone call when he's famous for being a backstabber. And that's what he was. He brought Bosh over from Toronto. They were going to do it all. And he got a little hot for him, and he wanted to change his image.
Wow, that is amazing. I'm glad you recalled that because that lends a whole new perspective to this. What a hypocrite this guy is.
Well, yeah, because you know what? If you listen to it just for that, like you did,
right.
You're right.
Yeah.
It sounds bad.
Yep.
Until you find out he's the worst case scenario, and he's talking, he should go in the corner and just shh. Don't say nothing, man, because you did it. Good stuff, isn't it?
It is great. Now, I want to end the show.
150% no matter what. Let's go. Now.
I want to end the show by talking about something you tweeted out today. You said, I'm watching Goodfellas, and I thought to myself, I think that's like the 10th time he's tweeted that out in the last 6 months. He's probably
But I do a different quote.
Yes, you do. There's no doubt about that. But I'm just amazed at how often you see the movie. It's got to be up there.
Well,
top
I
3.
got like 30 movie channels, and it's on all over.
I know.
It's a popular watch.
Yep.
Like Shawshank. They'll go away with, you'll see Shawshank for a while, then they won't play it for a while. Then they come back with it.
Right.
Same with Goodfellas. Now, Goodfellas is in the cycle where they're playing it. And what I like to do is take a different quote every time it's on and put it on Twitter. Like the last time I said, I used a quote that Maury used. When they go, where you want to go eat? He goes, and then Maury goes, do they have Danish there? Yeah, the one on the boulevard. He goes, oh, good, I'll get some for Bell. You know what I mean? I use a different quote. Today I used the quote, you may not know who we are, but we know who you are.
Oh, love that line. Love that line.
Yeah, when he's taking over when they're hijacking the truck.
Right.
So that's what I do it for, basically. But I do love the movie. I don't like the whole movie, though. I think it drags near the end a little bit with the helicopter.
Oh, I love that scene. I love that scene.
See, and I understand that. I thought the first half was stronger than the second half, though. But I can understand why you love the scene, you know. And when the cops bust them, I mean, it's a great movie. I don't watch it. I haven't watched it 300 times because it sucks.
Yeah, really, I hear you. That scene, Mike. If anyone has ever done cocaine in their life, they can identify with that scene and the paranoia of that scene.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was just, you know, it's typical Scorsese, the director, for him to create such a frenetic scene, and because he's come clean and said publicly he had a problem with cocaine, and that scene just felt like it was dripped all over with cocaine. I thought it was an amazing scene. I do agree that it drags a little bit towards the end, but overall it's one of my favorite movies and perhaps my top crime movie of all time.
Oh, Paul Sorvino. I mean, I love him. Leota, it's the role of a lifetime.
Yep.
De Niro is cleaner than the Board of Health. Pesci is the Edward G. Robinson of our generation, except he's better than Edward G. Robinson. I didn't even realize this. Maybe this had something to do with the hearings in the 50s. He never got nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, really?
Edward G. Robinson never got nominated.
Wow.
Not one. Now, Pesci's won Oscars. Edward G. Robinson never got nominated. I can think of 5 or 6 movies. Key Largo, for God's sake.
Yes.
He was fantastic in Key Largo. Little Caesar. I mean, but they were gangster movies. And in the 30s, 40s, and the public loved them, but the establishment hated them.
You know, I saw in Edward G. Robinson about 4 or 5 months ago, and I'm trying to remember the title. It wasn't a gangster role for him. He played a meek accountant who actually it was a gangster movie because he had a doppelganger and the other guy was a hardcore gangster, and so the innocent guy was always being mistaken as him. It was a really clever, well done movie. I wish I could remember the title. If I remember, I'll put it up on.
He's great in Double Indemnity with Fred McMurray and Barbara Stanwyck.
Yes.
He's great in that. He should have gotten a nomination, I thought, for sure. I mean, he was great in the Cincinnati Kid with Steve McQueen, the poker movie. So as Yancey. So you know, I have a lot of respect for Edward G. I was just stunned he was never nominated.
Yeah, it never got an honorary Oscar. You know, that's a way to correct a mistake, and he never got.
Somebody said, "Well, Van Johnson never got nominated." I go, "Well, there's a reason for him never getting nominated."
You
he
really
sucked, isn't it? I was not a Van Johnson guy.
I never thought that he was terrible. But I have to see.
I never thought he was fantastic.
But he was.
You know what? He was good. He was good in the Caine Mutiny.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, excellent in that movie, Caine Mutiny.
I give him credit, but he was never nominated for an Oscar either.
Wow.
And that guy made 109 movies.
We, this long summer,
I'm just done with all this information. It's useless. You know what I'm saying?
It's not at all useless. It's great for us trivia hounds. And what we'll do is we'll dedicate a show to movies only sometime this summer during the doldrums of
Well, we got Wednesday. We got Vegas Scores and Odds, our show, which was an overwhelming success. We had a winning week there. I've been winning over there. I don't think my Mariners are going to do me any good tonight, but you did a fantastic job. We have fun working together. Let's keep it going, brother. We will keep it going, and I know right here on Mixer they're going to keep it going with I Have a Stream, Johnny Santucci. I have a stream. That's someday. I have a stream. Joe Mando, they're going to help us try to figure out what happened to Game of Thrones yesterday for anyone who cares. Yeah, tell Tucci go get Starbucks for the crew. See you, Aldo. Take care, brother.